I'm in Chicago at the Klairmont Kollection, where there's a big exhibit of Jeeps. And with me is Jim Marski, a big-time Jeep collector. Jim, before we dive into some of the highlights and the beautiful vehicles on display, where did your passion for the Jeep brand come about?
Growing up Chicago, they just seemed like odd vehicles to me, and a number of the vehicles here used to belong to me.
Well, let's go take a look. I'm eager to find out more about some of those special ones.
Probably the best place to start with Jeep history and interesting vehicles is this baby right here. This is a 1944 pre-production civilian Jeep. It was made during World War II. It was Willys' attempt to determine how they could make the military Jeep into something that was usable commercially. From there, the history morphs a little bit. This is a 1953 CJ-3A, and that vehicle was the commercial production of this. They were used on farms. This has a whole section of farm implements that go with it.
So these two really show how the brand started off as that very purpose-built agricultural destined vehicle. When did the brand start to shift towards more consumer focus?
Mid-50s it started, and then into late 50s, early 60s, it definitely accelerated, and there's probably a really good example in the other room to show you.
This is a big departure, Jim. What's the story on the Tuxedo Park?
Well, it's actually not a departure. It's just an improvement, if you will. This is a 65. Until this point, it was all really, really utilitarian, rough ranch use, rough farming use. This one was the first really upgraded version, special trim on it, special paint, upgraded suspension so it rode better. It was just trying to upmarket the vehicle, if you will.
Now, this, Jim, looks familiar. This is kind of I would call it a modern icon. What's the significance of this?
This is essentially the next generation of Jeep. Those ones were the CJ models. This one is called the YJ model. It was a complete redo of the vehicle, the new frame, suspension, and all. And they did one change that was really annoying to Jeep aficionados. They put square headlights on it. Ultimately, the next generation of the vehicle, called the TJ, they went back to the round headlights because they took so much from it.
And this, serial number 1, is really the one that paved the way for the modern Jeep as we know today, right?
This is actually a factory prototype. Back in the day when they built these, they actually had to build test vehicles that could not be certified. This was the first one off the production line and somehow managed to not disappear with the rest of them. Nobody else has really put a collection like this together to show the public. This is my friend Keith Buckley from Goodyear.
Hey, Keith.
Glad to meet you.
I've really enjoyed Jim's tour, and it's such a fantastic education on these very historic vehicles.
Well, the Klairmont Kollection is targeted a specific Jeep collection that was used by Chrysler from 1996 for about 10 years at an event called Camp Jeep, which moved around the country. But after Camp Jeep ended, the vehicles kind of got forgotten. But we knew that it was the most original, most complete collection out there. We just figured it was a really good education on a really famous brand.
What are some of those hallmark features from these early ones that have carried over even to the Jeeps of today?
Jeep brand got smart and said, why don't we just make something that's already capable of doing the Rubicon Trail, hence the vehicle they sold as Rubicon, so that all of those aftermarket type parts, lockers and lift kits and everything else, that you could actually get them on the Jeep from the factory. And these are the vehicles that they use to say, what do we need to do to these vehicles to make them even more capable than they already are? This is what they were brought up as.
Where do the majority of these Jeeps on display come from?
They were owned by Jim Marski, who ran an organization called Historic Civilian Jeeps. Prior to that, Larry only had 2 or 3 Jeeps. I kind of looked at them and said, well, this one isn't quite right, and they never made this color, and it made sense to try and preserve the history of the ones that we knew that were out there that had all the original parts. And some of them have been refurbished, and other ones we chose to keep original.
What's your guys' hopes and dreams of where they head off to next?
Back in my house.
Decades of Jeep history, all adding up for one very unique exhibit here at the Klairmont Collection. A huge thanks to Jim and Keith for the education, and keep an eye out. All of these are off on new adventures, and you never know where they'll end up.